We've all heard it by now, the viral false claim by Donald Trump that immigrants are eating pets. It's a claim that represents a persistent American narrative that's rooted in centuries of racism and speciesism. But where exactly did this racist trope come from? The answer lies in a deep American history of using animals and food to create and maintain social divisions and hierarchies. In most Western cultures, companion animals are considered family, so eating them is considered abhorrent. Yet, the consumption of other animals, cows, pigs, chickens, goes on widely and mostly without question. This categorization of some animals as a-okay to eat and others as wrong or immoral to eat reflects both racist and speciesist hierarchies in our society. Speciesism supports the belief that humans are superior to other animals, and that some animals are more worthy of protection from harm than others. This prejudice is generally based on arbitrary criteria, not unlike racism. The origins of the pet-eating trope trace back at least as far as colonialism, when Europeans encountered indigenous peoples, whose food practices, including gathering plant foods and hunting wildlife, were deemed inferior. Colonizers viewed their own foods, including beef, as superior, which led to the decimation of bison populations as colonizers prioritized the farming of imported cattle. The framing of indigenous dietary practices as primitive or uncivilized allowed colonizers to devalue indigenous peoples, as well as the land and the animals, for their own economic and territorial advantage. The enslavement of African peoples in the U.S. introduced another layer of prejudice intertwined with racist and speciesist stereotypes. Enslaved peoples faced derogatory judgments about their diets, which often included the leftover food scraps that were available to them. This way of eating was often used as evidence of the supposed inferiority of enslaved peoples, and to further portray their traditions as unrefined compared to European standards. Asian immigrants also faced derogatory stereotypes in the U.S., linking them specifically to pet consumption. The trope stems in part from the fact that in some cultures, eating dogs remains legal and practiced. However, while some countries, such as South Korea, are more commonly associated with eating dogs, the stats don't actually reflect that. Nonetheless, the stigma associated with eating dogs has been inaccurately attributed to many Asian immigrant communities. The goal is to portray newcomers as unfit for American society by casting them as the other, in part based on what they eat. These tropes are woven into the fabric of American history and serve as a stark reminder of how misinformation can take hold, especially when it feeds into existing stereotypes and prejudices.